Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel.
Today we're going to do our segment of Let's Talk, and today's topic is
Anxiety.
So we know this is quite a hard one maybe to talk about. People don't like talking about it, but we just really wanted to give not even advice but just things we've learned, tips.
Yeah, I think everyone's anxiety is personal to them.
Yeah, it's very different,
and people deal with their anxiety in completely different ways.
Yeah,
but I think regardless of what type of anxiety you have, we all can relate in certain ways with tips that can help.
Yeah,
so we're really hoping that this video helps
even
at least
a little
one
bit
person,
yeah,
or you can take something away from this video.
And we will leave as many useful links as we can below.
Yeah.
How to deal with a situation when you feel anxious. I think this depends the environment you're in, because if I'm in like a bustling, very city place, I need to find somewhere quiet straight away.
Yeah.
Or I need to kind of shelter myself from that noise, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
like have a
as if you're
grounding.
like wanting to step back,
Yeah.
kind of ignore everything around you, zone out as much as you can. And I really find it easy to concentrate on my breathing. It sounds stupid. I think first when someone told me you need to concentrate on your breathing, I was just like, that's not gonna help.
Yeah.
I think
everyone's different, aren't they, with how they like cope with things or how they interpret things.
Yeah, I very much so. Like breathing exercises, I just thought that's for meditation, like that's silly, but I do think that can help.
Yeah, definitely.
What else?
I think when you're in a situation, you need to concentrate on the things that you can actually control.
Yes.
And not the things around you that you can't actually control. And I think this is perfect for obviously what we're going through at the moment with COVID, and a lot of people are feeling like post-lockdown anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think the main advice is to just control the things that you can control. If you know that you are calm and collective and you're concentrating on yourself, then that will massively reduce how you're feeling in yourself. And I do agree with trying to concentrate on your breathing. Like just try and ground yourself where you are and just tell yourself that, you know, it's okay, you can take yourself out of the situation if you need to. And yeah, I think that's the best advice, is just not to worry about the things that you can't actually control in the situation.
I feel like that can actually quite like trigger people as well, because I know myself that like as I'm winding, say, myself up, it is because I think, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then that can bring on my anxiety, which is quite a big thing. But I think it's just really concentrate on yourself and be selfish in that moment. It doesn't matter,
definitely.
like if Sophie stood right next to me, I'm just literally like, can you give me a bit of space, type of thing. And I think you do need to
just about looking out for yourself as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Any occasions I say walk out of a restaurant or anything, because I can't be like in that environment, and I've gone and collected myself by myself and come back in. I think
it's about taking control of the fact that, you know, taking yourself out of a situation doesn't mean that you have to not enjoy the situation that you're doing. You know, it might just be as simple taking 10 minutes out, like you said, leaving a restaurant. It doesn't mean that you don't have to go back in there. And I think one of the hardest things is going back into a situation where you felt anxious. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a trigger for people. And I think if you can overcome it and do it as soon as possible, then it will reduce that anxiety, because I feel like if you stop doing it altogether, then it makes the situation a lot harder.
It feels like you're like running away, and I think that is the easiest thing to do. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is like, right, let's go, let's leave, I'm going, like get me out of here. And I think it takes a lot of courage, as you said, to walk back in there. But the more you train yourself in a way, and it's horrible to say, it gets easier. I know a lot of places where I'm like, I don't want to go back in there, like no, and then maybe I have gone back and then I've felt so much better,
because
like you've achieved something. And I think that is a really good tip.
I think so.
Number 2, how to improve your anxiety.
I think this one's a difficult difficult one, because I think with anxiety sometimes you take 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back.
100%.
I think that with recovery, you know, sometimes it never goes away, it just seems to get a little bit easier. And the saying that I carry with me is that, like, recovery is not linear, like nothing is ever straightforward. And I feel like you may never overcome anxiety, but just because you haven't overcome it doesn't mean that it can control who you are as a person. And, you know, overcoming it doesn't mean that you have to, like, let go of it. It just means that you've been able to cope with it a lot better than what maybe you wouldn't be able to.
I think it's like getting a coping mechanism. It then means that you can do the things you want to do, and it's not stopping you as much. Say you're not scared to go into these situations. You might know that you go into that situation, you might get anxiety that day, but you know that you know how to kind of control that better. Definitely. And I think it is, you know, learning a lot more about it. I think I've read so much about it. Some of it might be rubbish, some of it I might think, oh, actually I can relate to that, and I think that really helps as well.
One thing I think is important as well
how
is that you will experience anxiety at different levels for different things.
I think this is probably one of the hardest things for me. I had to be told that I had it, because I didn't believe it. I think you can read and read and read online where it says this is a type. I think that's what else, like, to go off topic, but there's so many different things that come with it. You could be tired, you could be naughty, and people could be like, oh, you're really moody, you're really snappy. Actually, no, that could be that you've got anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely agree with experiencing nervousness and actually being anxious and having anxiety. And I think a lot of the time people are scared because they don't know the difference.
Definitely, because I remember even at school with the exams, I used to be sick with worry for days before, and I used to think that's just normal, that's an exam. And we used to get told in school, like, it's normal to be a little bit nervous, and I don't think I actually realised how different mine was to maybe my friends. Something that you definitely don't compare it to anything else.
Your journey is, like, personal to you.
The things can be pushed onto you. I think I got told that, like, maybe I was quite timid, or like I didn't talk in class a lot because I was quiet, but maybe that was actually because I didn't like to, do you know what I mean?
I was the complete opposite. I was so vocal,
yeah,
and so angry at so many things. And people think, like, if you're anxious you're just quiet, but it's completely different for different people.
I think as well that really irritates me as well. Say I could look at Sophie and I could say that is not what anxiety is like, but everyone's is different, so you can't turn around and say that person has not got anxiety, it's not like mine, because
there's so many different types. Anxiety is not just a one tag fits all. There are so many different types, and it might just mean that you have it really, really mild, or you have it, like, so severe. And I think, you know, until you know that, or it's been solidified, like, that's when recovery doesn't start until you accept it.
Yeah, I think you need to be not ashamed that you might have it.
Like, carry it with pride, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it does make you a lot stronger. You are battling with things that are so hard to actually deal with.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've got the strength to pull through with some of the horrible thoughts that maybe you are having, or how you're feeling, that is strength within itself.
Definitely. And I think step one is accepting that does exist. A roundup of that one is, to accept it, you need to accept it within yourself, and really do work on that. Look up, there's books,
the book I really like, sorry to butt in, is How to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. And Notes on a Nervous Planet. If you have ever felt any type of anxiety, read his book.
And I think Fern Cotton, she does
Calm, Happy.
So really do have a look.
There is help out there as well if you're willing to look for it. You know, there's so much online nowadays, there's so many resources, so definitely have a look.
Number 4 is how to help your friends when they're feeling anxious.
I think because we've been able to help each other in situations, like, our situations are very different with how we experience anxiety. like, I feel like this is really good advice from us because we've been able to help each other.
Yeah.
And I think my advice would be, when I was helping Emily, is not to push the person. Let the anxiety just be for a couple of minutes, because I think when it hits, it takes a couple of minutes for it to register what it actually is.
Yeah.
Don't ask someone a direct question. If you ask someone if they are okay, that is going to literally recoil them.
I think that it was my main tip to my partner, and I literally said, the worst thing you can ask me is are you okay?
Because you're clearly not okay. How do you tell someone?
I'm not okay, like, but I don't know why.
It's a caring, like, obviously it's a natural thing to ask someone if they're okay, but I think just do not ask direct questions, even if it's like, what can I do? Like, if you're in a state of anxiety, you can't actually answer, so just be mellow and just say, look, you're safe, you're okay, I'm here, we're gonna get through it. It's more of like encouragement.
Yeah, it's literally like, you need to tell them to breathe, to calm down, and as well, don't ask any questions. No, definitely don't. But we get where you're coming from, that you want to understand, but I think you've got to be understanding and just take a step back and not be in the person's face if they want space. Like, don't come up and cuddle them and think, oh, you know, this is going to help.
A very big thing.
Yeah, but definitely just be there, be beside them, ask
just
them,
be their support.
Say, do you want any water? Maybe, I don't know, you know, make sure you're breathing, count to 10. And I think it literally is, you've just got to be there and wait.
If you're someone that doesn't experience anxiety, read up on how you can help the loved one, because I have had people close to me that have actually said, look, I don't understand. Like, how can I help? And I think the best advice is to go online and read about it, because there is so much on there that you can actually learn.
And I think it can be quite embarrassing as well, like when someone's looking at you like, what has just happened? What's
and that
going
adds
on?
to the anxiety.
And I think that is, you need to be as understanding as you can. I just think if you're going to be their friends, if you're a true friend, you will give them the space and the time to maybe confide in you and let you know how that feels. I think it is a lot harder when you don't like know what it is, or you haven't experienced it.
Definitely.
But I think there's been times when maybe I've seen you experience it and I've not experienced it that way, so I'm a bit like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Is my way gonna work for you?
And I think that's another thing. Don't push the person, don't push your ideas of how it works onto them. We both have different coping mechanisms, and I've never turned around to Sophie and say,
don't do that because it doesn't work for me.
But yeah, it really is just being understanding, being there for your friend, and reading up about it. I think that would really help.
Yeah, it's definitely a big help,
because you'd know how they're feeling, you'd know that you don't need to be overbearing with them, but also have some sympathy for your friends as well, because it is really hard for someone to grasp your situation.
Definitely.
Last question is overcoming the stigma of getting help. I have seen this a lot on social media. There's been a lot of tags going around.
The nail on the head. Social media.
Yeah, literally. I think there's people there with opinions who don't need to have opinions.
I think there's either two ways about this. You're either open with people of how you're feeling, or you're a very confined person, and there is literally no in between. Because I think if you show it once, you're either showing too much vulnerability, you're showing that you're either being, you know, attention seeking, and I think there is so many different ways that people interpret how someone is feeling. And I think as well, overcoming the stigma doesn't mean that you can't talk about it. If you're somebody that can talk about it, then that is absolutely fantastic. But also, do not be afraid to unfollow people that make you feel uncomfortable with a topic.
100%. I have seen people make comments which I am like, I don't need that in my life. I always make the joke to people, I'm going to get my incense out and I'm going to put that, burn it, and everything negative's going to go away. And people might laugh at that, but I'm actually serious, like, that is going out.
Like, you just don't need it. And I think as well, it comes back to the case of it is a massive stigma having a mental health problem. And, you know, if you're someone that, you know, maybe hasn't accepted it, then that stigma will seem a lot more heightened to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking at people that have anxiety and they're able to deal with it will not help you in the slightest. So I think that unfollow button on Instagram is so important for many reasons.
You need that. And I think if you aren't enjoying what you see, get rid of it. If something's upsetting you, don't look at it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, as well, I think you can be over exposed to certain things. I see these hashtags which are absolutely brilliant, and it's, you know, let's break the stigma, let's get people to go and get help. But if I read too much into that, that does bring me down. So be careful with that. But
and especially because you might not be in a position where you want to get help or feel that you need the help and I think as well that can obviously be a big trigger to a lot of people.
A big part of it is because you can't see it. A lot of people think it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But I think if you can overcome the stigma and ignore all that and go and get help, then that is probably the best thing you've done all year. I think you really need to think about it, and I think I must have got told millions of times before I was like, right, I need to do something about this. It's a massive achievement. It's just
a hard achievement as well, but like you don't carry that stigma with you anymore because you've got
spoke about it.
We know that situations like these aren't easy to either film or watch, and we don't want our content to be overpowering, so we definitely have so much more lined up that we want to talk to you about, but we have spaced out, haven't we, so that we also have our fun side. But I think it's so important to kind of see a little bit of a rawer side to people as well, and get other people's advice.
I think it's not even that, like, I know myself that I have searched into YouTube stuff about anxiety, and I just want to give back some information that I've learned.
Yeah, definitely. It's because I feel like sometimes you can go and search for things and they're not there. And you just want that
and
advice.
I'm just like, oh my god, that needs to be there.
Or like, you just want someone to kind of say, I feel that way too.
Yeah, I think it really does help when you connect with people who maybe experience it a little bit like you or understand. And I think our space here, we want it to be as most understanding, non-judgmental and open as we can.
Also fun as well. But you've got to remember, like, people are human, so like there is days that we probably film and we don't seem like 100%.
That gets cut out. There'll be days that I'm like,
so much that we like don't show. But that is because we know what we can control, and we're like in control of what we show you. And just as well, another thing to probably end on as well is what you see online isn't how people are. Instagram is a perspective that people want to show you, so do not compare one photo to 24 hours of your day.
No way. And we are going to try link as much as we can below, and we will see you next week
soon. And if you have found this very helpful, then please do let us know in the comments, as we would love to open up a little chat about this. So definitely leave it in the comments.
And our DMs are always open for anyone, and we will see you guys very soon.
Bye.